You know how frustrating it can be when your clients cannot understand or visualize your design concepts, right? Even though you've given swatches, drawings, mood boards, and you've used software like AutoCAD and SketchUp, and you've tried to make sure they understand what they are approving. Well, Duke Renders has the answer for that. They offer 100% accurate, do-it-for-you 3D renderings that present your designs in their entirety. This way, you can make sure that your client fully understands and visualizes your design before execution. This saves you headaches, saves you time, this saves you money, it saves you that back and forth. Do you want to learn how you can start saving these headaches? Well, book a quick intro call to start getting your designs in beautiful photorealistic renderings. Go to dukerenders.com/LuAnn and you will get 30% off your first order. That's dukerenders.com/LuAnn. Do this now. Just book the call now and see what's going on over there because this offer is valid for just this week. Welcome to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. Today, I am so excited to welcome Amber Guyton of Blessed Little Bungalow to the show. Amber and I first met at High Point Market almost 3 years ago now, and this conversation has been a long time in coming. But timing is everything, because if you're listening in real time, it's April 2025, which means we are celebrating a big milestone together, Amber and I. Amber's business birthday. She launched her blog, Blessed Little Bungalow, on April 4th, 2016, just 2 months after I launched this podcast. And we had a fun little moment about that. Now, let me tell you, Amber isn't simply a designer or an influencer. She is an entrepreneur. She's smart, she's savvy, and in her own words, she says she's always learning. After leaving a 6-figure corporate job, she turned a side hustle into a nationally recognized brand, and she built a business model that's all her own, blending design, content creation, and now coming up, you'll hear, property investment. In today's episode, we'll talk about her journey from corporate to creative, how she's overcome imposter syndrome, and the ways she's building multiple revenue streams on her own terms. If you're thinking about pivoting your career or carving out your own lane, you are going to enjoy this conversation. Now, quick sidebar before we jump in. If you are tired of juggling vendor accounts and managing multiple orders, let me introduce you to Design Trade Service. DTS simplifies sourcing and logistics with one streamlined solution. 24/7 access to top brands and outstanding customer support. Go to designtradeservice.com/LuAnn to join for free and get started. That's designtradeservice.com/LuAnn. All right, here is my conversation with Amber. Hey, Amber, thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Thank you so much, LuAnn. I'm so excited to be here.
I know. We were just talking off air. I think this is almost 3 years in the making.
Yes. I was a little starstruck when I met you at High Point all those years ago. I forget. I think it was for the diversity initiative, like the council. I'm butchering the name, but yes, there was like a little happy hour after the event, and it was so lovely to meet you. So I'm glad that we are crossing paths again for this conversation.
Me too. And you're funny because I was the one going, wait, that's what? That's who?
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
But that's what happens. You meet somebody that you've looked up to, that you've admired their body of work, and then you're just like, oh, she's just a regular person like me. We're just normal people, right?
Regular, accident prone, socially awkward person. Yes.
All the things. I'm the same way. Oh my goodness. When my daughter comes around with me every once in a while, she'll join me on a designer event. And like, I just see her, just her face. And she's like, oh no, you didn't just say that. You didn't just do like, Mom, no, we don't break out into dance right here. I'm like, girl, it's too late. I did it.
Yes, we're just, we just got to be ourselves. That's what makes us comfortable. Life's too short to be anything else.
That's it. That's it. So here's the thing. I've not ever heard the story, though, the whole story. Of course, I follow you on social, so I've picked up snippets here and there, and you're, just too fun and too adorable and all the things. But in the intake form, it's like you come from leaving a six-figure corporate career. And so I'm curious both on what was that corporate career, that part I've not known, and
Hmm.
when did you leave it? And then we're going to pick apart your journey into what brought you to where you are today, and the platform that you've built. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So I am born and raised in South Carolina. I went to school originally to uh, work in an advertising agency. Actually, that's a lie. I originally went to school to be a print journalist major. So I wanted to write. I saw myself
Mm.
writing for magazines and so on. And then my freshman year, we went on a trip to a local newspaper, and the people looked very sad and miserable. And so 18-year-old me was like, yeah, maybe we should do something more creative. We love to paint, we love to draw, we love commercials. So that led me to advertising. So I changed my major to advertising sophomore year, minor in business. And when I graduated, I thought, okay, I'm going to work in an ad agency. I'm going to move to New York or Chicago and make these amazing commercials that are shown during the Super Bowl. And that's going to be my life.
Wow.
Um, but I graduated in 2008,
Okay.
and
Nice recession.
the jobs weren't jobbing. And so I ended up on my first trip to New York. I met with this company called Gannett, and they own
Oh, yeah. I know them very well. Hmm.
several TV
Spent
stations,
lots of dollar bills with
newspapers.
them over the years, my friend.
Yes, I bet. And they were
Mhm.
just kind of cracking into the digital space,
Mhm.
So um I was in their talent development program, and this is how God works. It's like I ended up working my first job at a newspaper selling advertising.
So the universe you thought you were getting away, but we're bringing you right back.
Exactly, exactly. But 2008, 2009, not only was the economy and the housing market, a mess, but circulation was down. A lot of newspapers were closing. Print was quote unquote dying. And so, with that, even though sales, we're keeping the lights on with advertising sales, I thought it would be smart to diversify. So I moved to Atlanta the first time and worked for the NBC station here and sold broadcast and digital. After 2 years of that, I went back to school for my MBA. I have always had like a love for marketing, love for advertising. And I felt like, okay, if I want to really get a big girl job, like this is the path. This is the path to becoming a CMO. This is the path to maybe even opening my own marketing or advertising agency. And so after completing my MBA, I moved to San Antonio, Texas to work for USAA. I was also very passionate and still am about personal finance. So USAA serves military members and their families with all financial services products, from mortgage lending to homeowners insurance, car insurance, you name it, and banking. And so when I was there, um, I moved into an apartment, and I was like, nope, can't go back to this apartment life. I had a townhome in Atlanta. So I was like, I got to buy a house. So I bought a house in end of 2015. Um, I want to say I closed like the Monday after Christmas. Christmas was like a Saturday or something. And then my mom, my sister, and then two of my friends came to visit in two separate trips in that January 2016. And they were expecting boxes to be everywhere, like for them to help me unpack. but they walked into a perfectly staged home, like fully furnished.
In
Uh,
days, you had it done and done. Okay.
yes, the day I closed, I moved in, which is who does that?
Ready?
Um, and I already had all the furniture and everything ready. And so, um, when my mom and sister and nephew, who was like a couple months old at the time, came to visit, my mom just kind of looked at me and she was like, "When are you going to do this for real?"
Oh, she's like, this is a real talent that you've got simmering here.
Yes, because she's seen the adolescent Amber paint the walls in her bedroom and find pride in making her bed and rearranging furniture and living next to my grandparents and seeing that pristine living space with the French doors that you can only go in when company's here or the holidays, with the ornate gold mirror and just the things that I loved. And I'd always been a creative. I'd always like had an entrepreneurial spirit and honestly didn't even consider entrepreneurship until earning my MBA, taking a course and realizing like, oh, I could do this. Actually,
Yeah,
this
I've
isn't
got
that
the chops
hard.
for this.
Yeah. Though terrifying because, it's all on you. Like, so if you're a procrastinator or you're a bad employee, like, guess what? You're
You're
your
going to be a
bad
bad
employee.
boss.
But that little push and nudge from my mom made me realize, like, okay, maybe this is something I should, let's make this hobby into something. And so obviously I have this whole career over here that I worked
Right.
hard to get to. But I decided to create a blog. And so the blog would be about my home. It was a 1948 bungalow that was renovated in Balcones Heights area of San Antonio, Texas. And so I would blog about each room in the house, the things that I do and when I'm or think when I'm decorating, sharing design tips. I was in Home Goods like twice a week just for fun. So I talk about the things that I'd find there. So January 2016, I decided, let's buy the URL, let's get the domain, let's get the email address, all the social media handles, and I called it Blessed Little Bungalow because I love smaller homes, I love bungalows, and from the beginning, it's been a faith walk, a leap of faith. And so that's where the name came from. And I just love alliteration.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And being from the South and South Carolina, like monograms and so on. So I'm just like, oh, BLB, that's cute. Um, and so, yeah, Blessed Little Bungalow was born. So actually, um, April 4th, 2016. So April 4th, that's coming up, will be 9 years since Blessed Little Bungalow started.
Wow.
So, once I launched, it was, really just me on Instagram and me posting on my blog. And over time, more and more people followed. My first project besides my own home, because that was the only thing in my portfolio when I started the website, was a good friend that lived in Greenville, South Carolina. He and his wife were having their first child. So my baby shower gift to them was to design their nursery.
Smart.
So their nursery was my first project. And then not long after that, I had my first, what I called stranger project, which was someone just recommended me in a Facebook moms group in San Antonio. I don't know I still don't know the origin
Oh,
of it.
that's funny. You don't really know how it happened. Oh,
Yes,
interesting.
but this family moved to San Antonio from Albuquerque, and they were trying to figure out how to take their southwestern burnt orange, whatever, and fit it into all the stars of Texas. Because you look at houses in Texas, and they're all like textured walls, tile floors, and a big star right above the garage. And so honestly, neither were my style. I am very colorful, maximalist. When I first started, I was really matchy matchy. I got out of that, but I love mid-century modern. I love a little glam, but more than anything, I just want to stir the soul. So I call it
Mm,
soulful maximalism, and I love art. I love art.
mm.
So I met them halfway with what they were looking for, their design style, but really they trusted me to help them, and so when you don't go to school for this and you kind of like, okay, how can I help you? It's very it's very humbling for people to look at you like the expert when you're feeling like an imposter in the space,
Mm,
right?
right.
So over time, yeah, we helped more and more clients in San Antonio, and then back home on the East Coast between South Carolina and I had a good bit of clients in Charlotte. My sister and her family at the time lived in Charlotte,
Mm.
so I was there pretty often. And then also clients in Atlanta. So fast forward, building Blessed Little Bungalow in San Antonio for 4 years. I end up moving to San Francisco for a tech job. We IPO'd, that company IPO'd in 2021. So 2020, I started with them, and I actually started the Monday after the pandemic started.
Oh,
So
whoa.
I just went into the office in downtown San Francisco
Oh
in the
my
financial
gosh.
district to get my laptop, and I never went back to the office again.
Oh my gosh. That's
So it was
crazy.
nuts, yes. And then of course, like they're like, oh, it's just 3 months. It's just, we'll be back in the office soon. Never happened.
Never
So
happened.
a year later, they're like, oh well, you can work from anywhere. So we're going to be a remote first company, and I'm just like, okay, 450 square foot studio apartment for $3,000 a month in Russian Hill, San Francisco,
In a
or
cold
move.
and rainy climate or
So I actually love San Francisco. It's
I
like
do
one of
too. It's
my
a beautiful
favorite
city.
cities.
It is.
Yes. So it was kind of like a
But
bucket list
living there
thing.
though, in all that, like, my son lived there for 20 years, and I was like,
Okay.
it's beautiful, but I always felt like, okay, love to visit you, see you, bye.
Yeah, no, really. I think as a girl from the rural South, especially South Carolina, like my high school, for example, my graduating class had 57 people.
Okay.
So I'm used to like small. So something about big city just always seems so enamoring. And then San Francisco, I think it's just so opposite from the East Coast. We're
Yes.
used to putting our feet in the water and it being warm. And then the Pacific is completely different from the
It is.
Atlantic.
It's so different.
So even though my stint there was short from 2019 to 2021, I decided, with the pandemic and growing niece and nephews and aging parents and life, like I wanted to be closer to family. So I gave up my nomad ways and I moved back to the East Coast. And 6 months after moving back to Atlanta and buying a house here, I decided to, okay, you've been building this for 5 years as a hobby turned side hustle. Look what you've been able to accomplish in 5 years, giving this 10% of your time and attention.
Right.
And then also, one thing I did skip at first, I just started charging for uh, projects as a way to get myself out of consumer debt. So I had student loans, a car loan, and some credit cards, and I think maybe a personal loan. It all added up to about $200,000. And
Hmm.
so I was just stacking my Blessed Little Bungalow money in a PayPal account. And every time it hit $10,000, I would throw it at the loans.
Oh,
So
fun.
eventually the loans were gone.
Oh,
The debt
wow.
was gone. So I'm like, okay, you're making this great money, but look, you've made this same money doing this on the side. So maybe we should give this a try full time. So, like an idiot, I quit my job during the pandemic, the great resignation, as they called it, this good paying tech job, and decided to work for myself. And 4 years later, I haven't fallen into financial ruin,
No, and
but
you
it's
are
still
just taking the
scary.
world by storm. I mean, are you kidding me? Right?
Yeah.
But
So,
you
so
bet
that
on yourself, it sounded like at that point. You really did.
for
But it
sure.
also sound like, Amber, that you were assessing the risk logically, right? I
Mhm.
mean, you said it. I let me take stock here. I've paid off a significant amount of loans and I've put 10% of my time and energy into something.
Mhm.
And what happens? And I hear you, not scary, but you have some evidence to show yourself that you're probably going to be fine, right?
Mhm.
And you're clearly smart and with many facets and talents and skills. And
Thank
what,
you.
yeah, but like, what would I guarantee you, I'm assuming at some point your brain went, and you know what? If we give it a year and it doesn't work, you're marketable. You'll go back to work, right?
That was the thing. Like, okay, if we have to have a plan B, what's the plan B? To go back to tech, to go back to financial services, to use the MBA that you earned to do something else. And there's still that comparison as the thief of joy, and like, okay, I'm building this business over here and hating life as an entrepreneur sometimes, and then you look on LinkedIn and the person you worked with is now director, and this person, there's all that
With 4-week
FOMO.
vacations,
Yeah, yeah.
401ks and options. And you're
I
like,
know. I
maybe I'll
walked
do another Instagram post.
right, right. So it's like, but I also realized, like, there's this fear that, oh, I can't go back, or there's this gap in my resume. But I feel like with some, I remember working at the tech company I was working at, and someone we hired was like, did the same thing. They decided to start their own business, ended up selling it, starting another business, and then wanted to go back to corporate. And it was seen as like work experience. It didn't look like, oh, well, they were just on this sabbatical for 4 years knitting a sweater,
Right, drinking
So
Mai Tais with umbrellas in them.
yes, yes. So I had to realize, like, okay, your degree, your experience, none of this goes away if you decide to go back. And it might be a little hard transition getting back into corporate, but it's possible. And worst case scenario, if I have to Uber Eats drive and work at Target on the side or do whatever, like, you're a hustler, you'll make it happen. You're not going to starve.
This is
Um,
it. I think some
so
of us have that in our belly, right? Like
mhm.
I've never really worried. I didn't have half the skills, education, or experience that you had. I legit, I didn't have 10% of it. Um, but I've always just thought, yeah, well, just try and kick me down. Like just go ahead. It's fine, world. But I'll get back up again, and maybe I'll have to wait tables this time, or maybe I'll have to, like you said, like I used to say wait tables. Now we say be an Uber driver, right?
Well, I didn't wait tables, but I was a hostess at Longhorn Steakhouse in college. And I still eat at Longhorn Steakhouse every now and then for nostalgia. And yeah, if I have to work, I have to work. And there's
That's it.
nothing wrong. Every job has dignity. And I think it's also just, the way you're raised, and knowing that if as a Christian, like, I feel like if something was put inside of you, we all have our own talents. Like, they're meant to, you're meant to serve. You're meant to put it out in the world. And so, if Blessed Little Bungalow hits year 10 next year, and I decide to put it on the shelf and do something else, like, I still put my talents out there. And there is no every step in my journey has brought me to this place. Um,
Exactly. Right.
so.
Right. All the experiences bring you to where you are. Right. And it's,
Mhm.
kind of like when you, after a couple of years, you're back on the newspaper thing. It's like, okay, you thought you had a plan. The universe had a different one, but that also taught you something. And I'm very much in alignment with the way that you're thinking and you're talking about it, because I think there's something in that. I think that being an entrepreneur, it isn't easy. We both know that it's not easy. It isn't a cakewalk. I know for many years I would have different girlfriends say different things if, like, the kids had, Friday off or something or whatever. And they'd be like, oh, well, you're so lucky. You don't have to ask your boss for a day off. Like, if, something comes up. And I'm just like, yeah, I get to, like, be with the kid all day and then work from 6 o'clock till midnight to make up for it.
Right,
Like,
right.
I'm not like just vacation day.
Yeah, yeah.
Ding, work, and so there's a part of that I've always liked, though. I
Mhm.
like being in charge of
Yeah.
what it is. And that means I got to dig in, and that means I might have to pivot, and that means, someday I might have to, go wait tables, got, whatever it is, but I will and I can, and it's
Mhm.
my choice. And
Mhm.
so
And
there's
there's
that
no
in it,
shame
right?
in that.
Right.
Yeah. Mhm.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's funny because my mom raised us this similarly. It's like, if you are able to dream it, then you've been given the ability to make it happen. You just,
Absolutely.
but the end of the sentence was always, you might have to work for it though.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Faith without works is dead.
That's it. That's right. That's right.
Yes. And
That's
there's a
exactly.
lot of things in our society today that's like, even the influencer space, it's like, oh, you can go viral and all of a sudden you can be a millionaire. Or there's these get rich quick schemes. Everybody's a life coach or a career coach or a
Yeah.
money coach. There's a lot of things out there that feel like, that instant gratification. Even HGTV,
Yep.
showing what we do in a very microwaved weekend project, 30-minute, 24-minute, whatever it is, episode that really could take 7 months of time. It's there are no shortcuts. And I think
No.
what's the phrase, like, it takes a decade to be an overnight success. Like,
Right.
I'm almost at a decade, so I
Well,
feel
and
like
that is
success is right around the corner.
exactly. What's so funny is because you and I didn't know it, but we launched at the same time. Like, I started
Oh
the podcast February
wow.
15th, 2016.
Oh wow. I
Yeah.
love that. I love
Yeah.
that. So
And it's
you just
crazy.
had your anniversary, your
Yes.
9-year anniversary. Okay.
Yes. And what's so funny is I literally just said it to somebody the other day. I was leaving a Voxer message and I was like saying blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, startup, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, we can't even say we're a startup anymore. Like, I feel like it's been a minute, but it's 9 years. Like,
Yes.
and then the end of that Voxer was, oh, we have some work to do. I'm like, no more riding our coattails here. We got to dig in now.
Absolutely. And I think that's the other thing about entrepreneurship, and just anyone that's ambitious, is like the double-edged sword of, oh, now here's the next thing, here's the
Yeah.
next level, we have to level up to this. And that turns into, like, it could be complete burnout, if your mindset hasn't shifted. Because as a solopreneur and a side hustler, I can't use that same mindset with where Blessed Little Bungalow is now, or where with Blessed Little Bungalow is going. But it's so painful.
Yeah.
Hiring people is painful. Changing your business model is painful. Giving up control is painful.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a lot of growing pains. But I've found that, by um, diversifying my revenue streams and new business things, ventures that are happening. And we can dig into some of those too. But it's for the good. But it doesn't get easier. It
No.
doesn't. No, people, no, they're like, oh yeah, it gets, no, it doesn't. It doesn't.
No,
It's still
it doesn't.
scary.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and it's interesting because, it's funny because I was about to say, someone like yourself, outside looking in, I was about to say this, and then I'm going to stop myself because I was about to say, you make it look effortless. You're adorable, your personality,
Oh,
the successes, the different collaborations. But then I thought, no, no, no. You come across with the real stuff, though, too. You will post when life is tough. You will post when you are having a situation with mental health where you're
hmm.
just like, I need a break. And so I've always respected that about you.
Thank
Um,
you.
it's because I think obviously more and more influencers are inclined to do that, but I do think the biggest swath of influencers still feel they have to be protective of the actual way it is as opposed to the way it looks.
Sure.
And you're very very you're very good, Amber, at showing us all sides. And I guess what I want to say is, when you're showing us the positive sides and the enjoyable sides, we're able to be right there with you in it. You're fully bringing us into that joy. And then when there's moments when it's hard for you, like my heart breaks for you. Like I'm like, white light, we're here for you. Like, you know what I mean? And it's just like, it's not you're not performing for us. You're really just saying, look, okay, this is my business model. My business model is
Hmm.
I'm out there. And
Yes.
you cross it well, I think, with, well, it's true authenticity is really what it is, right, Amber?
Thank you. Thank you. That's a huge compliment, LuAnn. I feel like that is all of our superpower is to just be authentically ourselves. Like when I first entered the industry, the first time I went to High Point Market, I went to dinner with some designers. Um, I was lucky to go to High Point Market the first time as a part of a tour. Well, two
Mm.
tours. I went for on an insiders tour, and then I was on the influencers tour. So it was a curated experience versus just being thrown to the wolves. Because High Point is
Oh,
insane. Like you can make a to-do list, but you're never going to see it all, and you don't want to go blind. So anyway, having an amazing High Point experience, and I sit down with these designers at dinner, and one of the designers is telling the others like, hey, she does e-design, and they start talking about the money of interior design, and I was like, yeah, I give them a shopping list, and because I'm an influencer, I'll have affiliate links, but if they want me to buy anything for them, then I'll use my trade account and pass that discount on to them.
and then they all pounced on you. What are you talking about?
And you would think I said I worship the devil and
We go
have
out for a walk every day. What do you think of that?
I have fangs coming out of my ears, and they were like,
What you talking about?
what? Do you know how much money you're losing on the table? Do you know how you're destroying our industry by doing this? And it was just like, but me being naive, I'm like, oh, I'm passing the savings to my clients. I only have like 3 clients. Like who cares? Like it's fine. Um, and it was a wake up call because it was like, okay, you have been in this siloed space as a solopreneur that hasn't really been in the industry, that has been um, carving out your own lane. Like I say e-design, but it's like e-design hybrid. Here's the amount for me to design the space, the mood boards, and the shopping list, but then I'm charging hourly on top of that for anything additional. Um, because honestly, I still don't want to be a full service interior designer. I
Right.
don't want to deal with receivers and procurement and markups, and I am aware that I'm leaving money on the table, and a lot of times for many designers that's how they make payroll, that's how they keep the lights on, is all the markup. So I respect it and I get it, but that was just not how I entered the business, and I had to be okay with that. I had to be okay with like taking a little bit of this and a little bit of that and making it my business model. And there's a lot of client work that I turn away and refer to full service interior designers because the expectation that those clients have or the dollar amount that they have is not suited for my business model. And so I think being authentic to yourself and also just having that transparency, because there's no right or wrong answer, right? There's so many ways to skin a cat, there's so many ways to sell interior design services. um, but for me at that moment, that's not what I wanted to do. And then also I was still working full time. Who has time to be meeting a receiver? You know what I mean? Like I'm working a 9 to 5. And so now as a full-time interior designer and entrepreneur, obviously I see like, okay, full service is probably the way to go. All these onesie twosie projects, like even if you have minimums, even if you have dollar amount minimums or space minimums, um, maybe it's time to offer full service design or, that higher level package. But I had to be honest with myself as CEO and business owner, founder, like if I do that, then I need to hire a COO that handles that portion of the
Right.
business
Right.
because
It's not
I
your
don't want to
lane.
be in the weeds with that. Like the most I want to do is return some pillows at Home Goods. I don't want to
That's all of the part of the process that I want to take part in.
I don't want to do cabinet math. I want to outsource and that is so not me. I want to do everything. But I realized like, okay, if this is something that I want to offer that the clients are asking for, or whether they're like detailed renderings of every inch of the space, or as the industry evolves, like renderings for example is almost expected. So if I'm not doing it myself, then that's something that I'm outsourcing or bringing a team member on to do. So I'm fine with evolving and adapting, but I have to be really clear about, okay, if I just want to be creative director, if I just want to be talent over here for these brand partnerships and design products for licensing partnerships over here. And then, oh, by the way, I'm starting an investment property company and I'm flipping houses over here. Like, I have to identify that and bring the right business people in. Like, I just hired an online business manager. So my hope is to like have her come in and audit and get my life together and tell me what to do. Like,
I know.
what am I doing this week?
You sound like me. You sound like I literally just said to my executive assistant, we have our all day team meeting tomorrow in real
Oh,
time as
nice.
we're, yeah. So it's like, all hands on deck when we're going to like, just pull the business apart. Like, what are the
Mm-hmm.
initiatives? What are the things, blah, blah, blah. And she left me a message. She goes, I know you're going right into the interview with Amber. I just want to say, should I be sending separate links for this team member to me to talk about Lu University and this team member to me to talk about product production and podcast production? And honestly, Amber, she mentioned like 7 things that I have been saying for the last 3 weeks, put on the agenda, put on the agenda. And I just was like, okay, maybe you could make the agenda for us.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, I'll tell you what, you make the agenda. I'll review it.
Right.
Like I'm just like, I
Absolutely.
didn't remember half the crap that I said should be on this agenda. And how are we fitting all this in one day, for crying out loud? This is a
Right.
week's worth of work.
It's so much. And it's like being able, there's power in being able to outsource and delegate. And I think as an entrepreneurs, we really think that, oh, we have to do it all. But I definitely realized probably year 2 of full-time entrepreneurship. And maybe it's also just the stress of the pandemic and life. But one thing that I heard at a conference last year was like, there is a difference between an entrepreneur and a small business owner. And the entrepreneur operates at the enterprise level. They can
Yep.
detach themselves from the business.
Yep.
If you're a small business owner and you're chained to your business, like this isn't the freedom that you signed up for to be an entrepreneur. And it really hit me because I'm like, I'm not only the face of my business as a content creator and influencer, that makes that harder because people only want to work with you. But I am also doing all the things and spread too thin, and I'm losing myself. I'm sleeping 4 hours a night. I'm not going to the gym.
That's not
Yesterday, I
good. These are not good things, Amber.
yesterday I ate at 9 p.m. my first full meal of the day. I
Oh.
know. And no, I can't blame that on fasting or Lent. I just didn't eat. I had 2 grapes and a banana and coffee. That's all I had. And then I
Oh.
looked up and I was like, "Oh, you got through all your meetings, you got things done, but you're
But
not
you didn't take
taking
care of
care of
you.
you." Yes.
Mhm.
So bringing on team members is something that I think is important. But yeah, it's every day. It's a new lesson. It's a new something.
Yeah.
Which is why communities like yours is so important because entrepreneurship is lonely and you
Yes.
kind of only have yourself to talk to about these things. And the community and tribe that I have in fellow interior designers and even other creative entrepreneurs here in Atlanta helps me understand that like I'm not alone in that. And honestly, if it wasn't for other interior designers, I don't think I would have made it this long
Mm. It's a
as a
truth.
side hustler or full time. Definitely not full
No,
time.
it's a village. It's a village, right? Right? It's a
Hmm.
village no matter what we do, whether it's, I don't know, like it takes a village to be married. I think if I
Hmm.
couldn't, complain about Nigara for 40 years, I don't know that we would have lasted 40 years. I got to get with my women and complain and then go back and go, oh, I love you because I got it
Yes.
all out, right?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
raising kids or a business. You really do need to. You need to compare the good ideas and have somebody help you vet them. You need to see what you're doing and recognize, oh, there's a better way. Like you're doing it that way. And that seems like a straighter line. You need
Hmm.
to see sometimes like, I'm doing this thing really good. This
Yep.
is awesome, right? Sometimes
Hmm.
you just need to be around others to know that what you're doing is on the right track. And sometimes you need to see how other things are going and other perspectives so you can appreciate what you are doing and what you have, right? It's like
Absolutely.
all of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And being a forever student, like when people ask me
Mm.
for advice and, want to shadow me or whatever, I'm just like, I'm learning every day. And I think you got to take the ego out of it. No matter how many followers you have, no matter how many clients you have, it's always something to learn. And you can always, like you said, cherry pick things that you learn from other.
We're going to talk about the planet before we get to the show. I think we can all see that the materials we use in this industry, the processes in this industry, and the life cycle of those products, they're having a negative impact on the people and the planet. And I think we could probably agree that we can and we should work together in some way to improve that. And we do know from this podcast that we are better together, aren't we? Look at the community that we've created together. Look at the things that we've achieved because we were together. So I want to tell you about an opportunity. It's called Interior Design Declares. The United Kingdom has started the very first country group chapter of Interior Design Declares, and they are making a call to action. They are asking the USA and any other country that you might be listening from to join together and start a country chapter in your country. Interior Design Declares is a voluntary pledge that you make to improve and learn together to lower the impact that this industry is having on the planet. It is a network of designers, suppliers, and educators, all working toward the same goal. And guess what? They don't care where you are personally or professionally in the journey. They just know you have to start somewhere, and why not with them? So this is a call to you. If it resonates with you, if this is something you have wanted to get involved in, but you weren't sure how or where to do it, Interior Design Declares needs 5 people from each country to be a co-founder volunteer. And then once they have that, they will guide you on how to run the group, how to share the learnings, and how to inspire and campaign together to lead your country and the industry to do better, to be better. Now, if you are interested, you can learn more about the UK group at interiordesigndeclares.co.uk. And if you're even just a tiny bit interested in wondering what it would mean to start a chapter in your country, you don't have to worry about being obligated. Just interested is all you need to be. If that's you, drop an email to info@interiordesignDeclares.co.uk and put in the subject line, LuAnn sent me. Okay, so info@interiordesignDeclares.co.uk, and we will also put these links in the show notes. So you got a little interest, take a little step, take a little action, make a big change.
Designers.
So one thing I want to go back to, Amber, was not so much I'm sure it was an amazing, incredible attack on you for giving away your discounts at that dinner. I don't, not so much the core of that, right? Because anybody listening knows darn well I don't agree with sharing the discounts, right?
For sure, yeah.
But I think the thing about it is, and I think the nuance in there, Amber, is that to your other point of revenue streams. In other words, an interior designer that has 500 or 5,000 followers on Instagram, a valid revenue stream isn't likely to be the influencer revenue streams, the collaborations with the main, the name brands and so forth. And when someone is at your level, your status, actual true influencer level, and you are attracting these big collaborations and the revenue streams are in the different areas, then it's almost like, not that I would not call you an interior designer, but really if you go and listen to your interview again, you mostly refer to yourself as an entrepreneur. And that's really at the core of what you are. And you happen to be doing it in the design space, I feel like, because that's where your joys and your passions and your talents are with color and texture and all of that stuff, right? But you could be an influencer in fashion for that matter, right? You could be putting together
thank
outfits,
you.
right? Right?
Yeah.
But I mean, like, if you were an influencer in fashion and you were putting together outfits as opposed to spaces, right? And so I think that I'm not ever going to say anybody should share their discounts. I'm not.
Yeah.
But I'll bet you if we pulled your books apart, it's probably the smallest part of your revenue stream. And to me, it's almost as if somebody were an interior designer functioning, doing full service design, with a let's call it $500,000 gross revenue or $1 million gross revenue, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
earning themselves 150, 200, 300, $400,000 a year personal income, right? And they got an opportunity for a thing with, call it Target, right?
Mm-hmm.
Call it whoever your agreements are. Well, them with one off and the major revenue stream over here, you might look at their agreement and go, hey, don't ruin it for the rest of us over here. I'm
Sure.
holding out for this kind of a contract, for this kind of piece of the action, and you just gave it away because you're happy to be with a brand collaboration. So I feel like, does that make sense to
No, it
you?
totally
Yeah.
does. It's a great point, and I also want to mention I shared that story with Toby Fairley a few
Oh, I
years
didn't
ago.
hear that. Okay.
Yeah, and she uh I don't believe it was on her podcast, but it was maybe like in just conversation. And I was in one of her programs, Design You, before as well.
Okay.
And I shared that, and she was just like, those people that attacked you, I would love to look at their books,
Yep. Yep.
because there's a difference between, and I just, any person that knows business, like, there's a difference between revenue and profit
Yep.
and salary, and so how much of those dollars are they gaining that you say you're leaving on the table versus what they're actually receive, like how much are they paying themselves, how much they can have this grossing $8 million interior design business, but barely paying themselves $80,000 a year. So there's a lot of ways to look at it. I do agree with you that the discount sharing must stop. I know I'm not the only one that does it. I know some people, like, they're just like, well, I charge so much for my design fees that it balances out,
Right. But it's
that
not
I'm
the
passing
premise
on the
of
savings.
the
Yeah.
it's not the premise of the industry. That's the
Right.
thing, right? It's not the
Right.
premise of it. Like, not for nothing,
Mm-hmm.
but when you go into a five-star Michelin restaurant, they
Mm-hmm.
don't say, "Oh, we get, our chef makes, 500K as a year, a chef, and our maitre d' makes this, and our sommelier, so you can have the food at cost. Don't you worry your little head
Right.
over it." Right?
Right.
Like, it's not business,
Yeah.
right?
And it's like
But
a designer coming, I mean, someone coming to me to design their house and only expecting to pay the cost of the furniture. Like, no, you
right.
have to pay her too. Like, the same way that this grocery store pays 12 cents for these apples and sells them for 80 cents.
Exactly, exactly. But I have to say, my thing is that while I do not agree with ever giving the discount away and not doing anything, I I can see that it's probably the smallest part of your revenue stream. And like you even said in the
Yes.
intake form, you're not even interested in being an actual, like, designer full service full time. It's not even your goal. It's not where your joy is. It's not your business path. You are different from a lot of us. And there are others of you in the space, but there are fewer of you that are successful. And
Mm.
listen, nobody's going to listen to this interview and hear your background and think you haven't figured out a way to make yourself a living.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And I also want to mention, like, in the beginning, a big piece of the imposter syndrome was that I felt like, okay, you're not doing this full time, so you're not a real designer. You're
Mm,
not knocking down walls and drawing in CAD, so you're not a real designer. You're not in AD and Domino, and you're not, you're barely writing a blog each week. You're not a real designer, right? And then I know that some people, I feel like I'd seen videos and things put out there by interior designers that says, I'm not a decorator.
yeah.
You are a decorator. This is an interior designer. And it was like a part of me was offended by that in the beginning, because it's just like you're belittling my gifts, or, like, I get, like, certification wise, degree wise, like, yes, there is a true difference. But over time I realized, like, that's fine.
Right. That's
I'm
the story between your ears. Great. Good for you.
Yeah,
Talk
no,
all day.
that's completely fine, because what I presented in the beginning and what kind of got away from with my branding was like, but still is my design philosophy, is that people view interior designer, the general public views interior design as aspirational, as
Mm.
luxury. It is a
Yes.
luxury. It's
Yes.
something that is out of reach. A lot of people feel. A lot of people feel like it's not something I can afford. If I don't have $100,000 to spend, then it's not accessible to me. And someone that came from humble beginnings and has made a lot out of a little and mixes highs and lows with my own design of my own home. I wanted to share that with people, that yes, you can go to West Elm and buy this sofa, and go to Habitat to buy this light, and go to Target to buy this lamp or whatever, and put it together and make a masterpiece. And when people see my design work in my portfolio, they're just like, "What do you mean? This isn't e-design." And I'm like, "No, no, it was." I'm
Ah,
a stylist too, and I
yeah.
can design and decorate, and I know enough to be dangerous with this. And I have contractors, and I have a bigger team, BLB team, that brings it all to life. And I think a big piece of that authenticity is just being honest and transparent about that from the
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah.
Yes, I've grown a ton and learned a lot over the past 9 years, but a certain caliber designer, like, I am always referring out to others, those designers, especially in Atlanta. There's just so much talent and so much work to go around. It's not, I really am all about community over competition. And
Yes.
so why waste time, dicing up, like, oh, well, you don't really design, or you don't really do this. You don't charge enough. you're not, you're not, you're leaving money on the table. It's like, no, I'm just going to do what I feel like I do best to serve the people that want to work with me, and improve my business over time, and hopefully improve the industry over time
Yeah.
too. So that's just been kind of my approach, and it's gotten me this far.
That's right. Something's working.
Yes.
I mean, I think it really is that. It's like understanding there's different lanes. Like in the window treatment industry, you could be a retailer
Hmm.
that, that orders everything. You're ordering from the hard treatments, you're ordering from another workroom to make the soft treatments. You could be in the window treatment industry and you could be selling it in the front and making it in the back. I mean,
Hmm.
you could be just making it for other people. I just feel like you are one of the few that has found another lane in the industry.
Hmm.
And because it actually is another lane and you've achieved recognizable, undeniable success in it, that
Thank you.
yes, but like if you don't like the way this part of her lane is, it's like, why don't you stick to your house? Why don't you make sure all your lanes are doing good first, right?
Yeah.
Because like you said, it's like Toby said to you, everybody, not everybody, there's no always and evers and alls and all the things, but many, they have an idea of the right way to do it, but not as many of those that have that right idea are actually doing the thing that they have the right idea of doing.
Mm.
And that's where it gets a little tough to be sitting at a dinner like that and getting all kinds of information thrown at you like you should this. It's like, really?
And forks and spoons and dinner rolls, all the things were being thrown.
And I get, what I imagine too, the people at the dinner, had probably a combination of motives. One is the good of the industry, right? Because if you can't just change the ship and the direction, and it includes everybody doing it, then it's tough to get everybody to realize that there should be a value put on the products and services that you sell. But it's probably also just, you know, probably they wanted you to make more money, be better. They just
For sure.
missing that the way you make your money is a little different than the rest of us, right?
Right,
It's like
right.
it's just a little different, and you don't want to sit here and have a conversation on being an influencer because now she's going to school you.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and then even in those days, I was just kind of starting to scratch the surface. Like, I had the following, but I didn't necessarily have the dollars that came with that
Right?
following.
You hadn't monetized it yet.
Right. So back then, and even from the beginning, I would say 80% of my revenue, maybe 85, were from client services, from the
Okay.
e-design. And now, well, actually last year, because I just went through my taxes and did all of the things and live in QuickBooks with my bookkeeper. And anyway, fun times. Um, and it's half. It's
Ah,
half. And I would
good for
love for
you.
the client services to be about 30%.
Yeah, right. That's what you said in your intake form. It's
Y-
going the other way.
Yeah. So now, as
Mhm.
that pendulum is swinging, okay, so we've got these two licensing partnerships, just signed a third. Like, what does the growth there look like? We have the speaking engagements and talent, media talent, etc. Dollars coming in, trickling in through that. Brand partnerships where I'm legit selling, an Instagram reel for 5 figures or 4 figures or whatever
Yeah.
package it is. Like, why would I spend 18 months of my time with this client
It's a great
that doesn't know
question.
what they want? God bless, because I'm a nice person and I'm an
Listen,
empath and I just want to help.
listen, I'll just refer you to like Erica Ward down there in Atlanta with you, right?
Yes, I'm just like, why would I spend 18 months doing this project management for something I'm not even able to be fully creative with, and, pulling teeth, or just not the right fit, when I can make that same dollar amount with
And it's
three
more
hours
true
of
to you.
content work?
It's more
Yeah,
true to you. It's where your talents are. Look,
right,
like,
right.
probably 50% of us would sign up for the influencer train if we could do it as good as you do, right?
Now
But
I will say it's still work. It's still work, LuAnn. It's
oh, no,
still
I believe me.
time.
I,
It's not all fun and
oh,
TikTok dances
no,
at all.
like, I know that, right? It's like,
Yes.
I mean, I have been doing the Instagram thing for 9 years, and I sit there at the 23,000 followers for 1,000 years because I won't play the game. They're
Sure,
just like, "If
sure.
you would just do blah, blah, blah." I'm like, "Yeah, but I won't," right? Like
But even all that is a lie. Like the engagement and the viewership, all of it. Like, I have 41,000
Yeah.
followers. There was a time where I would get 10,000 likes on a
Yeah.
post. Now it's like, barely 10,000 of my followers are even seeing my
I
post.
know. That's what I'm always screaming about. I'm like,
Hmm.
"What's the point?" I say,
Right. So
"Just
even
somebody here."
Yeah, so even as the pendulum is swinging, it's like none of this is guaranteed. Like, I feel
Mm.
like there was this huge burst within the influencer space and paid partnerships and stuff during the pandemic, right before and then throughout. And now it's kind of fizzling. And now it's kind
Mhm.
of like a lot of companies want pay per play. Like, are you if you sell this, then we'll give you commission of 15%.
Mm.
Because just the likes, and because so many, and also there's a lot of people out there between AI and just selling, services, that are paying for followers, paying for
Ah,
likes, and so it muddies the whole
yeah.
industry, right? And so, um, yes, by diversifying revenue streams, like, I can kind of combat that.
That's it.
So
Yeah, well,
Ralph
you're
can eat
smart.
his farmer's dog, and I can I can, Uber Eats on the weekend and keep a roof over my head and the lights on, right? I can't put all of my time and energy into one thing
One
or one
basket, no.
platform.
Yes, no, I hear you. Now, the collaborations, the product licensing, anything that you can talk about? Are they all signed deals, or is there anything you want to particularly mention or talk about?
Sure. So brand partnerships, I feel like I still have a lot of ways to grow there. I mean, I've partnered with national brands such as Home Depot
Mm.
to Lisa Mattress. The list goes on. But in the licensing space, this is something that started 20 late 2022, early 2023. I have a partnership with Creations Gallery 57 for artwork that is sold in uh, World Market,
Mm.
Home Goods, TJX stores. So TJ Maxx,
Wow.
Home Goods, Home Sense, Marshalls. And I think the thing with licensing, people don't realize, like, if they're not familiar with the licensing space, it could be a small percentage. So, like, the average licensee is getting, well, in for retail stuff anyway, is getting maybe, 10 eh, 6 to 10%, right, of
I'm
each of
surprised it's
those.
even that, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, some of it's like betting and so on. It could be as low as 2%. It just
Yeah.
depends on the mass market. So yeah, actually 10% is great.
I can imagine.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, so my face is on hang tags on artwork and home goods, and that's always fun to see when people are posting and so on. But that's just a sliver. And then also uh Mitchell Black,
Hmm.
also a Black female owned company out of Chicago, founded. They have tons of collaborations with designers such as um, uh, myself, Megan Moulton,
Mm.
um, Miss Penajepe, Forbes
Mm.
Masters, the list goes on. And they are just wonderful partners. I designed 6 different wallpaper prints with them in
Oh,
2023, and it launched in November. And seeing my wallpaper, actually, I could turn my monitors so you could see it
oh,
in my
that's
own
good.
office.
Oh,
Oh, something
wow.
fell. So that's my gentle giraffe.
Oh, that's
Um,
beautiful.
Thank you. And so wallpaper, that is a licensing partnership. And then it hasn't formally been announced, but the contract is signed, so I feel like I can talk about it.
Okay.
So I have soft goods bedding that I hope to be out in the next year. I'm not sure if it could be this fall, but honestly, I feel like it'll be probably the spring.
Okay.
And then I have another collab potential long term licensing that I can't talk about yet, but something that's in the works. So as a
Nice.
designer, I see people like um, Nikki Chu,
Mm.
and Justina Blakeney with Jungalow, and
Yeah.
admire them. And I see they have rugs, and then I see like Megan Moulton, who's also from South Carolina, have lighting with Mitzi, and there's just so many things I want to do. And again, because a lot of my design work includes things that are retail that people can purchase, whether that's from CB2 or pick up from Home Goods, like I intentionally design with like everyday things. So I would love to have that pillow in Target. I would love to, be in that big box store or something where someone can order it themselves, just like the wallpaper is you can order it. It's made to order, and then anyone can purchase it. It's not trade only, but I'm also not opposed to trade only partnerships. I think the left banks of the world and so on, like that's amazing too. And you have a bigger reach as well there. Um, but yeah, it's been a fun, exciting space, and as someone who people may say is not a designer, I'm designing wallpaper. I'm designing duvets, honey. So
That's right. Well, but this is what I'm saying. It's like it's useless and pointless to try to categorize what you are doing alongside what name anybody
sure.
like
Yeah.
like I can't even my brain is blank on a designer, right? Like but like in other words, a designer that gets up every day and their single lane is interior residential luxury design, that is the furthest entrepreneur from your workday.
Mm.
That is not what you get up and think about. You are getting up and thinking about collaborations, partnerships. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? Like it's it's
And just
it's
solutions for my clients, like especially in the
yeah, the things that
pandemic.
you're doing, right? You're like,
Yes.
what do I need, right? What's
Yeah.
missing?
Yeah, even in the pandemic, I had so many clients that just sat down and realized they hate their house.
Yep,
They
yep,
don't
yeah,
like
all
what
of
they
us, thank God.
see. Yeah,
Yeah.
they have artwork, and they have photos, family photos and heirlooms that have just been sitting in a closet, and they feel disorganized, or they're afraid to paint a wall, and they're
Yeah.
seeking help to find freedom in being able to love on their home. And
Mhm.
I just feel like everyone deserves to feel joy where they live,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
whatever I can do to help with that, whether that's like a paint consultation or um space planning or whatever, that is a gift that I can give to someone else. And so it seems like super bare bones and basic, but I feel like that is what I do. And then also, like, in this day and age, I don't know if it's a millennial or Gen Z thing, but so many of us creatives, we're multi hyphenates. We like to play in a
Mm-hmm.
lot of different things. And our
Mm-hmm.
boomer parents told us, no, you work for one company for the rest of your life. You get that good paying government job, corporate job, and you stay
Get
there
your
for 20
get your
years.
watch after 25 years.
Yes, and so working for USAA, for example, that's what people did. They made
Yes.
great money. They, even if it wasn't the most money they could be making, they had amazing benefits. They put all their kids through
Security.
college. Yes, security.
Security.
And it's like
Stability.
we're choosing the opposite, but also we are realizing by the time we're those folks' age, there is no stability.
No.
Like, who knows if Social Security is going to disappear tomorrow? Like, there is just today, and what can you do with what you have today to build the life you want to live?
That's it.
And so yeah, it's I don't know. I think I just do my best each day to help people feel good where they live. So whether that is me helping them directly as a client, or them being inspired by a reel that I put on Instagram, or clicking some links on my blog to purchase the bedding that I bought for this client, I feel like I can make an impact, no matter what bucket of revenue or a revenue stream I'm in. I'm trying to serve. And I
Yeah.
think just with having that outlook, it gets you much further than just be like just than just worrying about the surface level things.
I agree. And you have to do it the way that it makes sense for you. And the only thing that I ever care about is, does the business model point to a revenue generating situation that leads to profitability?
Hmm.
And if you crack that, great, good on you. You know what I
Yes.
mean? It's like being in the car industry and saying, well, one person is selling cars at a dealership and another person is, running a repair, a mechanic shop. It's like neither one is the right one. They're both necessary. And as long as the person running them is running them with integrity, running them profitably, serving his or her, consumers. So I love that you are doing it your way and finding your path in all of this. And, you know, there's a need for your transparency and your honesty on this. There is a need for it, to say that this is how I do it. Um, and it's funny because in your intake form, you mentioned imposter syndrome, and you said that in the intake form. And give us just 5 minutes on that before you go, because I think I get to have a lot of these conversations, right? Of course, I've had 1,100 plus conversations, and then I have the off air conversations, and then I'll run into it High Point, and we'll have another type of a conversation. But everybody has these moments. I don't think any of us escape them.
For sure.
And I think a lot of people, I think you less than other influencers, because you really do show up as your true self often. But
Thank
it's
you.
it's everybody. It's like we don't escape it. It's human condition, right, Amber?
It is. I think that in every phase of life, I've had an inkling of it. Um, and so, like, when you're at that corporation and you want to move into this new level, like, okay, you're promoted or you get this new position, but maybe you have the least amount of experience in the space now that you're in this new department. Like, there's going to always be someone that looks at you and feels like, hey, you don't belong, or you didn't deserve this spot. And so on an entrepreneurial level, I felt like you're just a side hustler. You don't do this. You don't So in order for that imposter syndrome to go away, you have to become a full-time interior designer. And then you realize, oh no, it didn't disappear with going full-time. So I guess now I have to be on the cover of this magazine to feel like I've made it. And then you do that and you're just like, oh,
No.
actually, some people are like, oh, that's just that magazine. What about this magazine? There's always going to be, like, comparison is truly the thief of joy. There's always going to be something that you feel like you're lesser than. But then I heard this quote one time. Someone said, you know who doesn't feel imposter syndrome? Actual imposters.
Ah, oh my
They're
God.
not worried about imposter
Oh
syndrome.
my God,
They're
that
just
is
out here doing.
such an aha moment. Because
Yes.
we all know those people that you're just like, what kind of bull crap are you selling? And
Yes.
it's like the most believable, like they think they're the most believable, but they're not. Oh my God, that's so funny. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, and then when, people talk about men and women in the workplace, where men, they'll apply for a job that they're 40% qualified for, but women feel like they have to be 100% qualified, and then they get the job and they're still not making what they should be making, and
Yep.
they're still doubting themselves. It's the same thing. And so the newest stream of revenue, the newest business tentacle out of Blessed Little Bungalow is BLB Homes. I have decided that I want to flip my first property, and that I want to build
Oh.
my investment portfolio. So I'm currently, well, we'll see by the time this episode comes out if I walk away from this house or if I actually closed on it. But there's this home that is a bungalow, of course, that was built in 1940 that I want to renovate and then rent out. If the numbers, first of all, it's a full gut, LuAnn. It's electrical, it's
It needs
plumbing,
some love.
it's all the things. Hopefully, my influencer-ness can pay for some of it.
Yeah.
But if not, it will be out of my pocket and my savings. And it's terrifying, especially the way the economy and tariffs and all the things are looking right now. However,
Mm.
that is my next thing. And I feel like, when you lose yourself in your business, sometimes it's like, okay, girl, you need a hobby. You need something else that you can do just for yourself. And so even though that this is technically design related, as someone who used to be a product marketing manager in mortgage in the financial space, I know enough to be dangerous there with the lending and so on. I know enough to be dangerous as an interior designer, and I've always wanted to flip a house. And so, this might be a complete disaster.
This is just the clashing of all your superpowers.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to guinea pig this. And then my hope is to buy a house each year, flip it, rent it, or sell it. And I went to a real estate conference last year. I've been investing in, mentorship and things like that to be prepared for this moment. But Blessed Little Bungalow, that might, like, I look at like Chip and Joanna Gaines with Magnolia, right? Like them
Mhm.
flipping homes and selling it. Like there's a lot of people that have done this, and then they have the design on the side, right?
Mhm.
Or this thing that they can pull in, even if it's just applied to the homes they do. So I share all that to say there's a whole lot of imposter syndrome, even though I know enough to be dangerous with all the elements. And I have the contractors, and I feel like competent and prepared. I'm still terrified, right?
Right,
And I'm going to
right.
have that imposter syndrome regardless. But I think a little bit of that is healthy,
I agree.
just knowing, like having being a little naive, being a little unsure, being a little anxious and worried, like you need that. And I'm just a risk averse person anyway, and this is the riskiest thing I've probably done in a while, but I feel like every 2 years I'm doing something. I'm moving, I'm buying a house, I'm quitting a job, I'm doing something. um so this is my next thing, and I look forward to sharing with you how the imposter syndrome evolves and what this looks like over time.
That's awesome. Congratulations. And I have to say,
Thank
it's funny
you.
because if I were listening to that description and like every time you said imposter syndrome, I'm just like, that's healthy entrepreneur gut right there. Like,
Mm,
you know what I mean? It really is. Cause there's nothing that we do as entrepreneurs where we're like, slam dunk, right?
sure.
It's like, feels like a slam dunk, but you see, it's like, feels like a slam dunk. It's like, sure thinks it should be a slam dunk, right? Like, it's,
Yes.
I mean, when I think about it, Vin and I have been entrepreneurs since 1982,
Wow.
I mean, and it's like,
I was born in 1986.
right? My daughter was born in 89. Okay. I was married in 86. I was going to say something happened in 86. I don't know what the heck it was. Something. That's a good year for something.
Yes.
But I mean, I would say it's funny because I think it's the advent of
Mm.
social
Mhm.
that has long popularized, it's not a minute, but popularized this word imposter syndrome.
Yes.
My point is, I don't recall ever hearing it until I started podcasting, right?
Mm.
And when you just described what you described, to me, I think 15 years ago we would have been saying, hey, as an entrepreneur, you can line up all the ducks, but you're still never sure. You do all the things. You did all the things. You've got some background in banking and finance and mortgages. You've got some background in interior design. You've been going to real estate conferences. You've been getting real estate mentors and all of the flipping you're doing all the things an actual intentional smart entrepreneur does. And then you're saying at the end of the day, there's still a little imposter syndrome. And I'm just saying, and at the end of the day, it's still you're rolling the dice.
Yes.
That's what it is, right?
Yes. And
So,
and St. Patrick's Day just passed, but what
yep,
do they say? Luck is when a preparation meets opportunity, you
yep,
know? So you can prepare all day, but there's still going to be a certain level of uncertainty there. But when the opportunity presents itself, like this home that I'm pursuing, or the next partnership or licensing deal, everything I'm doing now is preparing me for that moment. And then going back to what you said about your gut, like client wise, like there have been times where I've ignored red flags and I just felt like, oh, they called me, so I have to help them.
right.
And so as I grow as a business, you have to have more discernment. You have to give out more no's than yeses, and that's uncomfortable too. That's a growing pain, but and not just clients, like people that want to be they want you to be their mentor, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of things that you're getting pulled from all sides. But burnout is real, and you have to
Mm-hmm.
take care of yourself, and um, you can't pour from an empty cup, all the things. But yeah, we're all learning and growing as we're going, and yeah, you have to be just a forever student and remain curious. But yeah, that gut feeling, you can't ignore it, because that's
No.
wisdom.
That's right. That's right. Your inside voice knows. Your
Yes.
goddess voice knows exactly what to do. And you know the times when you followed her and the times you didn't. It's like,
Yes.
okay. And it's so funny because the saying no with the red flags and so forth, I have a very specific point of view on that.
Mm,
It's when it's a no for you, it's not going to be good for either one of you. So you're
mm.
doing a service to
Yes.
both of you. I,
Yes.
I, I, I believe that in my gut, in every part of me. So it's not so much, oh, red flag, fire that client, blah, 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 or don't take that client. They talk sideways. They had, whatever. It's like, if it's no, just get the emotion out of it and
Mm-hmm.
recognize something isn't fitting,
Yes.
and you're not going to be able to deliver. You just can't deliver with all of everything in you if something isn't right. And that's not a good or a bad, but it does take a while to trust that you
Mm-hmm.
know when it's right and when it's wrong, because, we will much more often in the beginning convince ourselves of ignoring that inside voice and we'll make it fit, we'll work it out. But, it takes you X amount of times where it just blows up and you just
Yes.
go, huh, I'm not the only one that had a bad experience, and that client did too. And is that what I get up in the morning to find the client that's not going to be happy at the end of the project? Like,
Absolutely.
no.
Yes.
So
That is
it's just,
so
yeah.
real.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just tuning in. It's maturation as a business owner, and some people, mature in that, and they get that voice rocking and rolling in a year or two, and others of us take longer. But anyway, so I swear to goodness, I could talk to you all darn day.
I know, no, no. You just preached a whole sermon at the end of that. Like yeah, it's something that I'm still learning. And I was telling another designer we met for coffee this morning. I was telling her about this one client that I thought would have been a dream. There's a lot of negative stuff I can share, but anyway, this one particular client, we had the consultation. I thought we hit it off. She was going through a life change, and anyway, after the consultation and sending the proposal, she had probably sent me about 7 or 8 emails, like asking
Uh,
additional questions, right? And it's
yeah.
like with every email of 18 more questions, I'm
Oh,
just like, my chest is tightening up.
yeah,
I'm getting
yeah,
anxious. I'm just
yeah.
like, I don't know. So then finally I responded, and I was just shared, like, I was transparent about that. I was like, with all of the questions you're asking, it's giving me a little angst. I want to make sure that you have an incredible experience with Blessed Little Bungalow, and that you are thoroughly overjoyed with your home, and I surpass all of your expectations. But just based on some of this conversation, I'm not sure if we're the best fit. And kind of like left it open for her to respond. Like, how do you
Please
feel?
fire yourself.
And her response was almost immediate. And she said, it's so funny because I sent the email and I was on like my accountability partner, another designer, Timala Stewart. She's out of she's a decorated interiors out of Tampa. She was like, just hit send. So I hit send. We were on there for like an hour. Not even 20 minutes later, she responds and she says, if me asking you questions gives you anxiety, then you are not the designer for me.
Thank you. Thank you. That's exactly what I was trying to tell you. You get an A.
And so it was almost like, oh my God, thank God she fired herself.
Yes.
And I know, and just the tone, and maybe her tone wasn't that, but just the tone of the response and the immediacy, I was like, that is not a person that you want to work with, because she meant that to hurt you.
Yes,
like, oh, you're sensitive or whatever. But really, it blessed me.
You don't care what she does. We don't really care what. That's what I tell all the designers that I coach.
Yes.
We don't care.
Yes.
We just learn and we get what we want.
Yes, because I had referred her to like 3 or 4 other local full service designers before we had the consultation, and then she came back saying, "Oh, well,
like where she needs
they
to
were
be.
out of her budget, and she wants to work with me, and all of this stuff."
Yeah, because she wants everything, but she wants it the way she wants it. Well, she's not her highway. She doesn't get to do that.
Yeah,
right?
So bless her heart. But there,
because
because for me to have that honest, scary moment and hit send, like I was rewarded by that, And there are times where I'm maybe just not good enough or the right fit for a client, but that doesn't. Like you said, it's a mutual thing. It's a relationship. It's
if you plowed through and
mm-hmm.
you sat there for 7 emails before you're even in contract and answered 18 times 7 questions, honestly, if this is not what you want to get up and do every day, why would you? It's
the
like
process.
This is what I say. I say the designers that I'm coaching all the time. I'm like, just separate what you think the carrot is here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is the real carrot?
Mm-hmm.
Is the real carrot closing the deal, or is the real carrot working in a mode that's enjoyable for you? Like me, when I talk to people who are potential chairman of the board clients, I'm like, do you need a process written? Like, do you need your process written? Do you need to know how to do the thing? And if they say, well, yes, I'm like, okay, we're not a good fit because I'm not going to write your process.
Sure.
Like, it's not going to happen. But I'm much older. And I'm only going to take 5 a year, so I'm okay to turn away 45. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like I'm like, it's like, here's what I'm going to do, and here's what I'm not going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And if you need, and I even say, you can email me every day. I'm probably going to verbally answer you. I am not going to email you books of how to get through this client experience. If you don't want to do it verbally, go to somebody else.
Yeah.
So that comes with knowing you and your lane and your superpowers and what you do. And no, that's not your world right now, Amber. You're not going to sit there with, a client and have 7 emails in 4 days and 58 questions because you'll pull your hair out.
And 29 revisions and everything else that would come with that experience.
And the thing is, there's a firm out there
that
would do it, that they wouldn't look at it like that. They'd be like, oh, I just need to provide more information the next time because these are all the details that person wants. And I'd be like, have at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right?
Have a good time. Enjoy the show.
That's it. And there's designers that don't like the hands off. Like they want the constant feedback and they want the constant interaction because that is a lane for them that feels very safe and feels very collaborative.
Sure.
Right? You want a lane where people are like, this is what I did. It's amazing. Say you love it, pay your money, and I'm moving on to the next one.
Yeah. But that's another thing, though, that we didn't discuss with e-design, and I guess with full service design, too, is being okay with not seeing it executed, being okay with not getting the photos, being okay with it not getting finished or completed to your liking. Because
again, that's not your business model. You're not relying on those photos to build your business. You're relying on you and your content for building your business.
Right. As thick as my portfolio feels like it's really only probably 30% of the work I've done.
Mm.
And so to build that beautiful home office that they ran out of money with the renovation and never did. Like, it's like, okay, well, I guess I'll just put this in my pocket, and
That's it.
because I can't give it to somebody else, I can post the mood board for hashtag mood board Monday, and that's it. And I got to be okay with that.
You could go to Duke Renders and have them render it for you, and then you could post it and say, "Here's my design."
Yes, it's funny. I did that with a client that I ended up parting ways with. Well, that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother podcast episode, because that was, oh Lord. Okay. But I ended up taking the mood boards, taking the before and during photos, and having a rendering company create the after
Afters.
photos for me. Um, but of course, I post those, and then they hire another designer to style their space. And now that designer is posting. It's, yeah, muddy waters,
Ooh.
but that's
Oh.
1%. That's one
Yeah, yeah,
percent
yeah,
of
yeah.
the clientele. But yeah, new levels, new devils. It's always something. It's always something. But
Oh.
I'm so grateful. I know we went way
It
over,
was
but
fun.
I
It was
really
fun
could talk
talking
to
with
you
you.
all day, and I feel like I need to sign up to be a mentee, because between the rates and charge adding on to the furnishings, and there's so much more I can learn from you, and that I do with your podcast. So I'm
Oh,
just so
thank you,
grateful.
sweetie. Thank you. Thank you. I have to tell you, this was so long overdue, and I'm so glad that we finally did it. And you're right. It's like, it's an hour and 20, and it feels like 10 minutes. But thank you, Amber, for sharing your time with us today. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Well, I would have to say that was worth the wait. I love this conversation with Amber and so many little nuggets of wisdom. Let's break it down. First of all, I love how Amber has created her own distinctive lane in the industry. She doesn't try to fit herself into a traditional interior design business model. I mean, by the way, is there one? Just saying. Instead, though, she's built a multifaceted business that leverages her unique talents as a designer, content creator, influencer, product designer, and now property investor. This is more than being a creative or being a designer. This is true entrepreneurship, as I mentioned in the intro. This takes guts. And just recently, I interviewed Veronica Miller, and I think you are listening to this show before Veronica's show airs. But Veronica said, it's not about being fearless, it's about doing things despite fear. And I have to say, this seems a little like myself and Amber, right? It's not that we don't feel fear. It's not that we're not unsure of things. It's that you do it anyway. And I love the way Amber put it. Faith without works is dead. You have to move your feet, even if it's scary. Things don't happen overnight. Success rarely does. It takes years to be an overnight success, right? And if you're a longtime listener, that might sound familiar because Candace Olson talked about that on her episode way back in the first year of the podcast, which we will link in the show notes. She said, I'm a 25-year overnight success, Lou, right? So this is true. You have to get up and you have to work for it every single day. It's not easy. Entrepreneurship is not easy, and imposter syndrome is a real thing. And you know what? We probably didn't call it imposter syndrome 20 or 30 years ago, but that uncertainty is part of being an entrepreneur. And I love it. It's brilliant. It's funny how Amber put it. You know who doesn't feel imposter syndrome, she said? Actual imposters. I mean, sometimes the truth is just so crystal clear, right? It's powerful, isn't it? So if you're questioning whether you're good enough or qualified enough, that self awareness is actually a sign that you're on the right track because real imposters don't worry about such things. They just forge ahead without critical self reflection. And I was also fascinated by Amber's story about being quote unquote scolded for giving away her trade discounts at that dinner in High Point. It's interesting how she carried that with her, right? Not necessarily in a negative way, but as a learning experience. She tried to see it through different perspectives. And I love that she spoke with her coach at the time, Toby Fairley, about it. Toby is a heck of a smart lady. She has been running her business and her coaching business for many years. She's been on this show before, and we'll link her show in the episode notes as well. And Toby's response was perfect, questioning whether those critics' own business models were as profitable as they claimed. Okay? We all know this to be true. People often know the right way to do things and they're very happy to tell you it, but are they actually doing it themselves? So the thing is, take that into consideration anytime you feel like you're being scolded by your peers. It's pull the good information out, pull the good nuggets out, pull the things that maybe you should reflect on and take away. But please don't ever leave a table and think everybody there has got it all figured out, because I'm pretty confident that we all don't. I've had 1,400 conversations now between the two podcasts in 9 years, and none of us have it all figured out. I promise you that. All right. Now, let's talk a little bit more about those brand partnerships. This is another facet of Amber's business model as an influencer. And maybe you have relationships with brands too, or you hope to. I spoke with Adam Stevenson from the Home Depot Design Center a while back, and Adam provided valuable insights into how you as a designer can develop meaningful brands with relationships, just like Amber has done with several companies, including her wallpaper line coming out for Mitchell Black. So if you are interested in diversifying your revenue streams, possibly with licensing deals, we have several shows that you can go back and listen to, including a conversation that I had last year with Libby Langdon, episode 993. That was a pretty in-depth, step-by-step taking apart of how Libby has done it in her business. And if you know Libby, you know she's successfully done this, all right? So we will list all of those in the show notes. Now, another thing that resonated with me today was Amber's reminder that burnout is real and you have to take care of yourself and you cannot pour from an empty cup. These are her words, right? In our industry, where we're constantly giving our creative energy to clients and projects, this is an important lesson. So if you are feeling stretched thin, remember to take time for yourself, all right? Remember that it isn't selfish. Remember, Katie McDonald was on the show and she said self-care isn't selfish, right? It's necessary for your business to thrive, okay? I mean, LuAnn Live, we based a whole concept around health and wealth. They're so completely tied together. And my daughter, Christy, her podcast, so many of you listen to her podcast, The Inner Edit. She put a pause on it last year because we all go through seasons. And she just felt like for her physical health or mental health, for her health as a wife and as a mother and as a person, it just couldn't all fit at the moment. So if you are doing all the things at the moment, and especially if you're like Amber and you're an influencer and you're constantly creating content and all the things, this is a real thing. Take her advice. Don't overlook it. If you have the nudge, if you have the thing in the back of your head that you're feeling overwhelmed or exhausted or burnt out or any of the things, I use the phrase, I can see the wall, right? I can see the wall. I might not have my face planted at the wall, but there are times and moments where I will look around. I will say to the Vincennes, I will say to my team, I can see the wall. We've got to find space. We got to get distance between me and that wall because I'm the train. I'm moving everything. All the things depend on me. So we don't want me crashing. Okay. So and Christy, as we led up to LuAnn Live, did a lot of crossover episodes with the guest speakers for LuAnn Live and talking specifically about taking care of your mental health. So we'll link those in the show notes as well. Now, speaking of community and taking care of ourselves, I want to mention to you that the Business of Interiors Community Summit is happening this summer in England. That Rachel Usher is hosting a 2-day event co-hosted by our friend Rick Campos from Design Biz Survival Guide. And it's going to be happening at the iconic Kings Road George Smith and Waterworks. And it's going to be expert panel discussions from leading interior designers from the UK, in addition to Rick and myself, and Jude Charles is going to be there. 2 days, jam-packed education, insight, inspirational presentations. Just keeping the conversation open and going and real. So if you want to come to London and see us there, please go to my website, the event page. Please go to my link tree. Go to all the darn places. It'll be somewhere. All right. So Amber, thank you for joining me here today. When I met you, I instantly liked you. I get a good feeling. I get a feeling about people. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's not. I got an instant good feeling with you in the first time we met, and it was reinforced today. So I admire you. I admire you taking your Eric Award transferable skills from that big 6-figure corporate job and applying them to your business. And I love the intentionality with the way you decide the things to do and not to do. It's a lot. When you are an influencer, a designer, a content creator, and an entrepreneur, that's a lot of hats to wear, and I think you're doing a great job. And so thank you so much for sharing your insights with us on the show today. And then you listening, I want to say thank you too for coming along and listening to this episode and all of the others. And you've probably been hearing, I've been teasing it out that changes are coming to the podcast. And the thing is, all of them aren't going to be enunciated on the podcast, because who the heck in 10 years from now wants to hear a show about the things we are changing in 2025? But I am going to do a lot more in email coming up. And when you come to the queue and the podcast and you see it doesn't look anything like it and you're wondering what the heck's going on, please get on the email list, because I want to share with you what I'm doing. I want to bring you along on this journey with me, but it seems a little silly to do it there. So you can simply go to LuAnnNigara.com and, ask to be on the email list, or you can go to LuAnnNigara.com/quiz and you can take the designer quiz, and then you get a little reward, because based on your results, you're going to get a list of things to do. 5 things to do today, 5 things to do this week, 5 things to do this month, and 5 podcast episodes to listen to based on the results of your business acumen after you take the quiz. So it's kind of like a win-win, right? So that's LuAnnNigara.com/quiz. And then before we go, I have an invitation for you to join me and an incredible lineup of experts May 6th and 8th at the Design Hound Talks. It's called Business Spark Conference, a 2-day experience designed to help you reconnect with the work that you love and to move through challenges in your business with clarity and confidence. The event is happening live in Chicago at the Mart during their Wine and Design event. And this particular Business Spark Conference that Veronica from the Design Hounds is putting on is specifically about realignment, inspiration, and getting the mojo back for your business with clarity. Okay, so this is the focus of this event. So if you're feeling a little like, what the heck is going on? Do I have direction? Am I happy? Am I doing things because they fulfill me or just because I'm supposed to? These are the kinds of things that we're going to take apart at this event. So I'm going to be there. Jane Horan of the Horan Group is going to be there. Reverend Kyle Gott and the Design Hounds founder, Veronica Miller, will all be there. All right. And Veronica is giving you 50% off your ticket if you sign up through Eventbrite and use the code AWDB50. Okay, so you can go over to LuAnnNigara.com/live-event and get to that Eventbrite link, or you can just click on it in our show notes. But she's giving you 50% off. So, and I also tell you, I don't think she's taking more than 30, maybe 40 designers. So I don't know how many thousand, just heard it. So if you want to get in on it, I would not wait. All right, and I'm super excited to be a part of this event. It's sort of in alignment with what I feel about Amber. Amber, and if you follow Amber in social, she's often bringing in the humanity part of her business and of herself and the way she shows up in the world. And so this 2-day conference is more about the inside work on you as a business owner, as opposed to so much about the systems of your business. Okay? So would love to see you there in Chicago. All righty, my friend. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate that you show up. Decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of LuAnn Nigara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or LuAnn University, go to LuAnnNigara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to WindowWorksNJ.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.